Hello, hello, Aderson Oliveira here for the DNN store. Today I have with me Will Strohl. He is the co-owner and director of product development at Hotcakes Commerce. Hotcakes Commerce is an e-commerce solution for DNN. Will, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be interviewed by the infamous and very famous, popular Aderson Oliveira.
You know, you're giving all the intro there. I mean, you're the one giving the intro. You know. Okay. So, an interview with Will. There's so many different places that we can go because of your heavy involvement with the DNN community in general. But again, the focus of this interview is the e-commerce solution that your company and you provide. But I want to give people a little bit of a background to build your persona there. And I'm gonna do something a little bit different today. I'm going to put you on 4 different roles that you have played throughout your DNN history. And you're gonna have 30 seconds to talk about that role on your DNN history.
You didn't tell me it was going to be a game show today.
You know, I'm innovating. I told you I'm gonna be experimenting here. So again, you have 30 seconds, and when I say you stop, and I'll go to the next role.
Oh, so it's not going to be like Jimmy Fallon where I see the little counter on the screen.
No, you know, I have the counter right here with me, you know. Let's start this. You as an open source developer.
Oh, go now. So I have like 20 some odd extensions out there just for DNN and then a couple other open source things out there. I just, like, my open source part of me is my outlet to both give back as well as learn new things and then build things that just seem interesting to me. And so I very much enjoy that. Do I still have time?
You as a community leader.
Well, that goes back to giving back, but it also inspires me to inspire the people. So every time I get somebody excited about anything open source or anything involved in the community, it basically energizes me, and it reminds me of where I came from, because at some point somebody had to do that to me. I didn't just walk in here knowing DNN, you know.
Will Strohl as a product evangelist.
Product evangelist. Wow, that kind of goes to the same thing for me. But I very much enjoy helping people realize the power of DNN, because everybody just comes in there trying to solve a specific problem, but then they don't realize that it's a lot more flexible than that. There's a lot more things that can be done. There's a whole application framework they can take advantage of, which is why our last DNN Hangout session was kind of focused on that.
And last one, Will Strohl as a book author.
Oh, well, that one's still sinking in on me. You know, I've authored in magazines and things before, and I've been involved in technical editing quite a few times. But you know, I haven't quite had my book signing yet, but I do have it here. But it was a very interesting process, and I did enjoy it. So you might see more of that from me.
Perfect. So again, the idea is just to give a quick and fast overview of who you are, and I think that really give an overview. And if there's time, we may dig deeper into one of those aspects of your career. But for now, let's really focus on the module side, on the hotcakes. So let me dig a little bit into that one. So let's start with, where are you based?
Well, I am physically based just south of San Francisco, so I'm on the West Coast, or as we say, Best Coast. So I very much enjoy the weather over here. I used to be based in Florida, so there's a lot of confusion about that. People still assume I'm still there, even though it's been about 5 years now almost that I've been out here.
Okay, so that's where you're based, but I know that you work with a team across multiple locations. So where is everybody?
So our headquarters is in West Palm Beach, Florida, and so that's where a lot of our business happens. In fact, I just got back from there last week for some business meetings that we had, some all-day planning sessions that our customers will greatly benefit from. But we also have an office in Europe, so that's where our engineering and some of our support staff is based as well.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. So now talking a little bit about the Florida office there. I know that you are tied to somehow, and that's where I want to get a little bit more information here, to Aero Consulting, and specifically to their incubator. What is that? What is the deal? I mean, tell me about a little bit about that.
There's a lot of very smart people at Aero Consulting. Some of the best people that can be found in the area, and they're not just based there either. There's some satellite offices, part of that comes. Part of having smart people on staff is having great ideas, some really innovative ideas, and so basically out of Aero Consulting, we've built up an incubator where we have some things coming out of it. Some of the things that are public right now would include Hotcakes Commerce, of course, and Allocable, which is a great way to manage time for any type of billable team. So it could be software development, it could be some sort of legal administration or legal office. So basically, the incubator puts out ideas it's not that different than any other incubator. It's an incubator.
Got it. And then you are part of that incubator as your own project there, as your own silo.
Yeah, so I work together with Sean Walker in the incubator program. And so Sean Walker, for those that may not know, is the original founder of DNN, so the software that we know and love today. And so he's on the Aero team as well, and he runs the incubator program, and I'm part of that. But my primary focus at this time is running the Hotcakes business.
Got it. So do you have personally a lot of interaction with him? I mean, is he, I don't know, what kind of input does he have on specifically on Hotcakes?
So basically he helps run the incubator program, and so once there's somebody in charge of an actual project, they pretty much take that project and run with it. But he still serves in kind of an advisory capacity. So the incubator almost serves as something of like a board of directors to make sure whatever projects we're involved in, they are going in a positive direction.
Okay, that makes sense, and it should be great to have Sean around to help you guys out. Huh?
Yeah, it's fun hanging out with Sean. Ironically, I hang out with him more now than I ever did. But it is what it is.
Okay, so let's dig deeper a little bit on the Hotcakes e-commerce. First of all, why e-commerce?
So why e-commerce for me, or why the company?
Why? I guess that's it's more it's kind of a combination, to be honest with you, because I mean, as I can see, Hotcakes is about 2 years old. So again, it seems to be a recent decision to embark in that e-commerce adventure. So you can start with why that e-commerce, and then particular to you as well.
Yeah, so basically, Hotcakes Commerce as a brand is indeed about 2 years old, but it's actually much older than that. So Hotcakes has been around for a long time, but under a different brand name. And so when it was so basically, this was the first incubator project out of Aero, and the founders basically always were developing websites for clients all the time, and a lot of them were e-commerce, and not just on DNN, on all kinds of platforms and solutions. And so there's a lot of experience touching different e-commerce solutions out there, and pretty much the consensus after every single project was, why can't we do X? Why do we have to do things this way? Why can't we integrate this thing over here? Or when we integrate it, why do we have to jump all through all these hoops and so on? Why do we have to spend 2 weeks just trying to figure out how to use this thing? And so basically there was an epiphany at one point and said, you know what, we can do this better. So enter Hotcakes Commerce, and so we basically, instead of building it from the ground up, took another e-commerce platform off the market, forked it, and made it better, and it's what you see today. So it's been around technically since 2003.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of experience built up on e-commerce there.
That's why our feature set is so on par with everything being only 2 years old.
Okay, that's a good point. Because again, it always seemed to me a very solid product to only have 2 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed.
Okay, next point here is, I'm gonna sound like a grandpa here, but I come from a time prior to 2010 that e-commerce implementations were very, very hard to be developed. I mean, they were very time intensive, and I used to walk away from those kinds of projects. And again, going back to that era, and I'm talking about modules that were done back in 2004, that today they still look like the same one that was built in 2004. So again, I don't want to name names, but there are a few of those modules, and I'm talking about one specifically, so not to confuse with the new e-commerce solutions out there. But I used to compare my experience on those modules, on that module specifically, like the Stockholm Syndrome, that I love to hate. I mean, I'm hostage of for such long time that I start to like this thing. How does Hotcake shorten or improve the steep learning curve that we usually see on e-commerce solutions?
Yeah, sure. So that's actually something that goes back to the core of why we exist. You are not alone in that feeling. So people that were implementing sites and didn't have to live with it were having that feeling as well. All right. So basically, when we founded Hotcakes, we introduced Hotcakes with our core values, and our core values really go back to making sure that people don't feel that way. And to give you an example, without everybody feeling that way, when I was at IRCE, one of the presentations, and if nobody knows what that is, that's the National E-commerce Conference in the United States. So if you go to any e-commerce conference, that's the one you really want to go to if you don't go to any others. It's huge. It's a great time too. But one of the statements that was given by a very major brand about them migrating from one service to another was the fact that they felt like it was easier to, this lady, she said this, so this is not my opinion. She said it was easier to go through a divorce than it was to move to another e-commerce platform. And that like that, it clicked a light bulb in me. Like I already kind of knew that, but to hear somebody else, like a regular end user, to say something like that was kind of eye-opening to me. But basically, to go back to our core values, they really steer our direction, because we believe that e-commerce should be easier for everyone, not for any specific party, because some tools will make it very easy for a designer to get started, some will make it very easy for an end user to get started, some will focus on the customer experience, and a few out there will focus on the merchant experience. And when I say merchant, I mean the store owner, the person that manages the store every day. And so basically, we have our 4 core values, and they're basically our kind of litmus test to make sure that whatever we're doing is something that will not adversely impact another party. And so if something doesn't pass all 4, then we probably won't do it. And those, there's first the customers, basically making sure the customers are being engaged enough to complete the entire shopping experience. And so, along those lines, not being punished for their intent to want to spend money at your store, because that's something that happens a lot. And then making designers happy, so making sure that they feel empowered, that they can embrace your brand, and making sure developers are productive from day one. So ensuring that that they don't have to figure out how to do things; they can just get started writing code, because at the end of the day, that's all they care about. And I don't mean that in a bad way. And then there's the merchant experience, and so making sure the merchant experience is intuitive enough to where people don't spend 3 times as much time trying to do something that should be simple, like managing a product, or creating or editing a promotion, or changing their tax schedule. Like, those should be easy. You shouldn't have to have a full staff of people to do something like that, unless your store's massive. We do have very large clients that would fit that profile. But at the end of the day, everything should be easy for everybody, easier than it is today for everybody involved, and that's why we exist, and that's what we focus on for our clients.
Okay, good. Okay, so again, an e-commerce solution, I like to say e-commerce solution because I think that if you just say e-commerce module, seems so simplistic. But so again, you have an e-commerce solution there. Do you also work a lot on custom implementations of that solution?
Oh, that's a great question. We actually get that question a lot because of the space that we're kind of in, and appreciate the word solution, by the way, because that's exactly the word that we use because that's what we provide our solutions. But basically, the reason that well, so first of all, we don't provide services. We have a partner network that allows us to do that. We would prefer to not dilute our focus and like basically have two different business models and not be great at either. So what we've done instead is we built up a partner program that has a lot of really expert partners that know e-commerce, that know hotcakes, that know CMS, and they're all over the world. And so whenever anybody needs services, we'll match up our clients with a partner that's their focus is to make sure that they deliver something amazing, a shopping experience, not just a store for our clients.
I see. I have to say, Will, that that's very unique in our space because you can talk to any vendor out there and there will always be a component of their business that is customizations, that is, pick your module and then we can do whatever you want in terms of custom work. So again, I have to tell you, I was not expecting that answer for this question. I was expecting, yeah, we can adapt to anything that you want. And so again, great answer. And it's, I think it's impressive to be able to really single focus on working on that solution and not having distractions aside. So again, I like that answer.
To our clients.
Now let me ask you this. Actually, before that, let me ask another question. Let's talk about mobile apps. Mobile apps, because I see that you guys have an iOS-based mobile app for the administrator view. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you what is the usage of that kind of module that you see right now? And that's out of curiosity, really.
Yeah, sure. So the mobile app that we have is one of the things that we know about our customers is that they're not always in front of their computer, right? They might be at lunch, they might be off, they might be at a conference or on their way to a meeting, they might be anywhere in the world, they might be getting on a plane. And when they're doing this, their store doesn't stop. Right, they're still getting orders. They're still needing to process those orders. They're still needing to execute their shipping tasks and things like that. And so knowing our customers and knowing that pretty much like 90% or more of the customers that we'd categorize as the person that manages the store, almost all of them have an iPhone in their hand. And so we built an iPhone app to allow them to do those things. So almost everything that they can do from the administration in terms of processing their orders and managing their customers can be done from that iPhone app. So it empowers them to be able to keep a store running no matter where they are.
Got it. So you're saying that there is some, because my question is very specific about usage. Do you see a lot of usage on that?
Well, one of the things that we haven't done with that app is provided analytics. I can't speak about that intelligently right now. And not only that, I didn't know you were going to ask that question, so I didn't prepare for that. But we do have folks that use it primarily in the U.S. It is available for all of our customers across the world, but it's only built in English, so primarily our U.S. customers are using it.
Okay, so that's iOS. Mm-hmm. Is there demand for an Android version as well?
Actually, we've only gotten a couple requests for that, and so as far as like anything that we build or put out there, as far as features or product, it's always driven by our customers' needs, and that shouldn't be confused with customer wants, but what our customers need. And so far, we've had just a couple requests for Android, so we haven't really delved into that yet. Like personally, I'd love to put out a Windows one, but there isn't any demand for either of those.
Okay. So still on the mobile topic. Now again, we're talking about a native app there, but how do you describe the experience of someone that is doing just a regular user browsing one of your clients' website that have an e-commerce solution implemented there on a mobile device? I mean, how is that process? Is that easy, simple? Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah. So So that's one of the things that people still today, for whatever reason, they still keep saying that's a future trend. Like, we need to make sure we're going to be okay for mobile. And to be honest, that ship has sailed. It was like last November was the first time that mobile visitors have trumped, and when I say trumped, by a large margin, the desktop visitors on a website, for e-commerce specifically. Now, that's not going to be like a standard, like every single month it's going to be the same thing, but that was the first time it ever happened. So if a customer of ours, or a customer in general, or somebody running an e-commerce store isn't already looking at making sure they're mobile ready, they need to do that yesterday. So we realized that before we even launched under our new brand, and so we made sure that we're mobile responsive out of the box, and that everything that we do can be done on a mobile device, and they're not impeded when they're on a mobile device. So from point A to point Z in the shopping experience, from the very first moment that they see any products or any part of the store, they can already do that on a mobile device, on a handheld or tablet, all the way through the checkout process.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna ask you a question about the price point. And again, I may know the answer, but I want to hear that from you. Um, why the price point? Why? Because again, and the reason of my question is because it's a price point that jumps the charts when you compare that to not only commerce but to pretty much any module. And again, we go back to the term module here, but if we compare to any module out there, I mean, it's $1,700 is a bit steep as compared to what the other solutions are, sorry, the other modules, the other offerings that we see on the DNN store. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, price is all about value. And if there's two parts to that. So if you're going to charge a specific price, you need to make sure you have at least that much value. And we feel that we have a lot more than that value. So there's that. The other thing is, if you were, and specifically in this space, if you were to compare us, there's other solutions that if you were to put together all their features, and then they would have basically the feature set we have. You just bought all their companion modules, and you're actually a little bit more expensive than us. So the price, we're transparent about it. We're very upfront and forward. You get everything. Basically, again, making e-commerce easy for everyone. We're not going to like nickel and dime you and say, hey, in order to use that feature, you're going to need a little bit more. You're going to need a little bit more money. No, we give it to you all at once, and so you get that. So it's again all about the value that you get. If you were to take this out of this space and say, okay, here's world-class CMS and world-class e-commerce, and I want that. When you start looking outside of this space, basically what you end up with is looking at a comparable solution, like a Magento Enterprise. You're looking at like 15 grand. So we're a drop in the bucket if you look at it from that perspective, and our clients are smart enough to know that. I mean, we got some brand names that come in here and they're like, wow, you're really cheap, and so it's not about this space. And like, for example, you had an interview with Tracy Wittenkeller not long ago, and he hit upon this as well a little bit about pricing, and this is something I've been saying for years, is that the extensions in this space are wildly underpriced. The value that you get for a lot of these is way higher than what the price actually is. I would submit to you that most of these solutions need to raise their prices by like 30%, maybe more for some of these. Because at the end of the day, we're not just a module, like you said. We're a company. We're a real company. We got a real team, real staff, people that work on this product every single day. So sometimes even on the weekends, if we have some things that we need to address for our clients, and so putting people on staff is not something that is cheap. We got to make sure that we can provide value not just today, but in the future as well. And so we need to charge a real price for that.
Okay, and I'll just further that a little bit. It's because also, and that's what I'm assuming, that's the discussion that I had the other day on a chat, is that we are used to compare products within the DNN space, and again, limped our thought within the DNN space, within the DNN store. And you're bringing a great point, which is we should get out of our sandbox, of our DNN sandbox, and stack our solutions and our products against the big market out there, and not just limit ourselves to the DNN square, Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
So one thing that like about that is not just like here, like this is a problem for any ecosystem. Like at the end of the day, if you want, if you want to buy an e-commerce module or whatever it is, and you want, and you're investing into that, and this is going to run your business in the future, you don't want to get the cheapest thing out there because that's exactly what you're going to get, right? It's like, you can go to Denny's or you can go to this 5-star restaurant, and which one are you going to enjoy a little bit more, right? Which one are you going to walk out of and feel like you got the value out of it? And so, that's not just a problem in our ecosystem, it's a problem in all ecosystems is the perception of that.
Okay, and this next question here, it's a good segue to what we are talking about. When I go to Hotcakes e-commerce website, on the homepage, I don't see, and I can actually open that up here. On the homepage only, I cannot see any reference whatsoever to DNN. And that really talks about your point there. That's, again, hey, there is a big market out there. So again, I just want you to riff off on that a little bit more,
Sure. So when you look at this from that perspective, is we're providing basically what's the equivalent of an enterprise solution. Even though we don't brand it that way, we don't speak about it that way generally, except for apparently today with me. But we really do have that kind of feature set. And so we realized early on that there's DNN in the world, so there's this little pocket of things, and then there's everybody else that also needs e-commerce. So we didn't want to limit ourselves to just the little pond of DNN. I mean, DNN's a large community, yes, but in the grand scheme of things, there's a much larger audience that need e-commerce, and so that's really paid off for us. We have most of our customers come from other platforms. They come from Magento, they come from Shopify, they come from these other platforms. I only have the small segment of our customers actually come from the DNN space, already knowing and invested in and have a DNN site. That's actually a very small percentage of our clients. So we're actually helping grow the DNN ecosystem that way.
That's a great point, because my next question is still about around that point. You are having exposure to a lot of clients that are not coming from DNN. And that's out of curiosity, of my own curiosity here. How are people reacting to the DNN platform when we introduce them for the first time?
So when they come from these other platforms that I mentioned, some others include BigCommerce and things like that, they're very much used to having a store. And then when they're accustomed to having heard, okay, my store has a CMS, but when they actually go in there, it's not really CMS. It's like a little page builder, and I can add a little bit of HTML content, and so I have a store and a couple pages that is very specific to this content. And if I want anything else, I'm going to have to get a developer to come in there and build something, right? And so when they come into the DNN ecosystem, there's this revelation of, wait a minute. Oh, this is what CMS is. I can do all of this stuff. This can be my entire web presence. And so, our customers very much enjoy that.
Good. Okay, that's good to know. I have a question about the product, and I'm sure that this thought may have come across you personally, or someone have recommended that to you, but why not have a light version of Hotcakes, a boiled down version that not only could be cheaper, let's put it this way, it could be an introduction to what Hotcakes can do for you, but also, again, it could segment, you could, put your brand in front of people that otherwise don't have that budget yet. Anyway, go for it.
Yeah, so when we look at where we are in what we are trying to do as a company, we look at this from the point of having a target customer, a target audience, and focusing on them. We're not going to try to be everything for everyone, so we're not going to necessarily focus on certain segments that of course they would benefit from using Hotcakes, but if we're trying to focus on everyone, we actually don't do well for everyone as well. So it goes back to focus. And so basically, you know, our target customer is not an existing business, or excuse me, our target customer is an existing business, and they're not like a startup or a first-time store, and those are really the types of things that or types of businesses that would need a light version. And then the other thing about that too is in our our message of trying to make e-commerce easier for everyone, if we were to do that, then we'd have to take something away in order to justify the lower price. We'd have to not support them, or we'd have to give them a smaller set of features or something like that. So we prefer to make sure that when we do have our customers, we treat them all the same, regardless to whether they've been in business for 2 years and maybe they're making $1 million a year in revenue, or they've been around much longer and they're $30 million in revenue. We want to treat them all equally and empower them all just the same.
Okay, that justifies. Now, Will, I'm going to open up about 10 minutes here maximum for you to open up Hotcakes and demo that to demonstrate whatever you want to demonstrate on Hotcakes, so people can have a feel of a sense of what it is about,
Sure, absolutely. So let me unpause my screen here. So I anticipated that, so I spun up a brand new DNN site, and actually, can you see it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's been a little bit, so I might end up needing to log in again. But this is, like I said before, this is a fresh install of a DNN site. So let me refresh, see that I have to log in. And basically what I'm going to demonstrate is if I'm somebody who's going to be rolling out a store, because that's the vast majority of our ecosystem is we build websites for clients. And so I want to kind of show everybody what their first time experience is with DNN. So this is a brand new install of DNN 7.3 something, I think. I didn't put this on 7.4. But you can see that's just a home page. There's nothing else on here. And so the only thing I've done here is I installed Hotcakes. And if I go into the Hotcakes administration, so you can see there's a page for Hotcakes administration right there, and we do that for the client. So again, we're trying to make things easier, so we add that to the menu for them. So the very first time we come into our Hotcakes administration, you'll see that we have a configuration wizard, because we realize that you haven't yet set up your store. So we want to make that setup as easy as we can, and so we created this little short wizard to allow you to just put in the very bare minimum information that you want to, and it'll get you started to be able to sell as soon as possible. And so when we look at this, basically the only thing on this page that's required would be an address, store address. So I'm going to just put that in real quick. And I'm putting in our headquarters address. There we go. And everything else, in this entire wizard, I can always go and update it again later, but I'm just going to put in a store address, and then the next step I'm going to provide payment if I want to, but right now, since this is a brand new store, I don't have a license, and so I'm not going to be able to process payments right away. I have to be licensed to do that, but I'm going to expose payment, this payment option. But notice that we have a lot out of the box, and then if we were to dig into any one of these, we'll have a lot more options as well. And then, because of extensibility, our clients or our partners can add any number of payment options that people need. So I'm just going to select credit cards, and then there's shipping. So if I wanted to provide shipping, I can, or if maybe I'm just doing all virtual products like software downloads or PDFs or something like that, I might not need shipping, so I might want to skip this so I can continue. And then, if I need to supply taxes, we can, but we're also a certified partner with Avatax, so they'll process your taxes for you, and you won't have to maintain a tax schedule. And you can see that we also support VAT. And then I can continue if I did that or not. And then if I need to activate my license right away, we can do that right here, or I can just get started with my back-end administration experience. So the administration experience, we land on our dashboard, but the thing is, if I were to go to my store, we've just done a lot of work for you. So we automatically add some pages into the store or into the site. We name them. We put some modules on these pages so that way they're pre-configured with some of the most common settings. And so again, it's about making the user experience for everybody involved easier. Right now, though, there's not going to be any products in here, so we might want to add one. So if I go to or back into our Hotcakes administration, I might just be trying this out for the first time. And so if I go into where my products are under my catalog menu, I could add a new product. Or if I'm just evaluating, I just click here and I get a whole bunch of products added for me in some categories right away. And so now I can just go and edit the product immediately. Or if I want to, I can just go view it in the store. So I just click it. I can go view it in the store and see how that looks to my end users. And so you can see that it has everything that we need, and if we needed to, everything is responsive out of the box. So if I were to downsize this, you can see that everything is still highly usable, and that's going to be, again, through the entire shopping experience. So that's just getting started with it. You can see it's incredibly simple. As long as you have DNN already, you don't need anybody technical involved. All you need is a mouse and you know your store address, and that's basically it. So that's one of the things I wanted to show. And one of the things I kind of wanted to tease here today is that this is going to change a little bit in the future. We've redesigned this entire user experience with our customers in mind, especially the merchant or the store owner, to make this even more user-friendly, even more intuitive than it already is. So there's some exciting changes coming to the dashboard that our clients are going to be excited about, and so we're going to be teasing that even more in the upcoming weeks.
Perfect. Now you have control on the screen there. Do you want to showcase or demonstrate one of your clients' website that you think that they have done an awesome job with the solution?
Absolutely. I'll showcase two, but I did want to also, I meant to do this just a second ago, but I mentioned getting started. And so if anybody wants to try Hotcakes, they just go to our website, they click free trial, they fill out the form, and we don't send you a module. We send you an entire website ready for you to play with. So we have a hosted trial. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to be the technical guy in the office. So if you are the person that manages a store and you don't know how to write any code, you can also do this as well. So you can come here and get started right away. But as far as clients, this is one of my favorites because I don't know if you know who Simon Sinek is, and I'm not even 100% sure I'm saying his name right, but he's a great inspirational speaker. His very first TED Talk is still, I think, the #3 most popular talk in TED history, and he's an author, and he is using Hotcakes. And so, like, if you go to the book section, he has a few books out there, and you can buy an autographed copy of his book. And the great thing about this is we can go ahead and use a service like Built With, and we can see that he is indeed using Hotcakes Commerce. So he is basically, you can see Simon Sinek on different news programs and things like that. He's all over the place. So he's one of my favorites. Another one is a household name that anybody who cooks probably recognizes who Clabber Girl is. If you don't cook as much or you're not as a foodie, you should know that you walk by their brand every single time you go into a grocery store. So their most popular product that they have that you might recognize is their baking powder, or excuse me, their what do you call it? Shoot, not the cornstarch. Where is that? Baking products, so let's go there. Baking soda, is that it? There it is, baking powder. I was running, I've been saying a lot of words, I couldn't come up with the word powder, but you probably walk by this, and you might even have this in your cupboard and not even realize it. These are both great examples of integrating with other systems as well. So Clabber Girl also has a store that's physically on-premise at their location, and they have a sister brand that's called Rex Coffee, where they have another store that basically is something of a copy of this, but they have an actual storefront for that. Now, the Start with Why, so the Simon Sinek website, it's integrated with some other things as well. And then the other one that I actually meant to have up already that I love giving as an example is for anybody who does fitness, so especially like endurance sports, triathlons, decathlons, things like that. You probably have Trigger Points products in your home, maybe even sitting in your trunk and things like that. And so this is a great installation. This is probably one of our most thorough implementations that we're aware of, where they've taken the entire experience and made it their own. They basically came to us having already they had a designer said, okay, this is what we want the store to do and what we want it to look like, and we need it to be pixel perfect. And they chose Hotcakes, and they never had used DNN before, and they were able to get it pixel perfect. So they have it integrated with different things like a NetSuite ERP, YouTube. So they've taken their implementation and taken it to the next level. So this is one of my favorite examples as well. And all of these are mobile responsive out of the box, so that they're able to sell to anybody no matter how they come to the store.
Question. You said that they were able to bring that implementation pixel perfect. Was that via one of your implementation partners?
This particular one was done by Parsis. So they're out of Arizona, I believe, and so they did most of the technical work. And then actually one of our other partners is somebody who recently interviewed as T-Works. So Tracy Witten-Keller and his team, they helped do the design for this as well. So they did the theme implementation, and our other partner did all of the more technical things for the integrations and the other extension points like custom order workflow and things like that.
Okay, good. Love the demos, and we're gonna put those URLs on the video post as well. Great. So thank you for the demo. Thank you for the sites. That's really a great showcase of what the solution can do for people considering an e-commerce solution. Now, let's talk a little bit about your processes there, because we spoke about the product. Now let's talk about processes. First is how frequently and what kind of process you go through to decide what goes in a next release,
Sure, absolutely. So, like I said, we're a real team, real company, and so we have things that we do that ensure that we, provide the best value to our customers. And so, basically, we take a two-pronged approach to planning any release. So the first thing is that we'll evaluate the requested features from our customers, and especially from our partners as well, because our partners branch multiple customers. And then we do that primarily through our community. So we do that in a transparent way on our website. And basically, with this particular approach, the enhancements that get the most votes are the most likely to get added to our roadmap. And so, that allows everybody to have a voice in the product, and it helps us, kind of crowdsource the innovation and crowdsource the needs of our clients. And so that's the first approach. The second approach would be things that you won't see in our community, or you're not likely to see in our community, because these are the kind of enhancements that basically are, they make us not only stand out, but they have an immediate impact on the success of a store. So examples of this would include some of the stuff that's about to be rolled out, which include insightful and predictive analytics, actionable reports and dashboards, and identifying trends before they impact sales, so that way people can take action before the issues actually arrive. And some other things include helping grow the customer and revenue base, and using some growth hacking techniques. And so that's going to be the second phase of that.
Okay, good. And in terms of support, how does your team likes to interact with their customers? Is that a forum? Is that an email address? Is that via the DNN store? How do you go about doing that?
So anybody that needs support for our product, they can go to hotcakesecommerce.com/support, and right there we'll identify our two options that we primarily drive everybody to. So we have a private support dashboard for our licensed customers that also have a paid contract, a paid support contract with us, and so we provide that through their private dashboard. And then we also have community-based support for anybody who doesn't have a paid contract, or for anything that's not actually covered under our support SLA. And so if those methods aren't convenient for whatever reason, we'll always be available to, or make ourselves available to jump on the phone with our clients or do a screen share or anything else, do some email-based things that may be more convenient for our clients. So we don't limit them, but we do try to put everybody into one or two areas to do the majority of our support, so it'll benefit the greater audience.
Okay. If I'm a client trying to decide between the several e-commerce solutions, and I don't know too much, or I don't know enough to be able to compare them, and even because there are so many features that it's really, I have to tell you, it's really complicated for a regular user to really decide one against the other one. So what do you suggest for someone that is trying to make up their minds, and not, I mean, which process they should go through to make up their minds? That's basically my question.
Yeah, so that's a really big issue that everybody faces, because anybody can roll out a website. Well, I mean, relatively, but these days with things like Squarespace out there and whatnot, anybody can really put out a website. But when you start selling online, that basically multiplies the complications that you would normally face, and we realize that. And so that's, again, one of the things that we enjoy, one of the challenges that we love to help our customers with. And so basically, if you're looking for a new solution, the first thing that I tell anybody, and for any solution really that's software-based, is try it out. See if you can use it. Figure out how hard it actually is to get started. So I just showed you how easy it is with us, right? If you do need documentation, or even if you don't, go use it. Go look at it. See if you can answer a question. Make sure you contact the vendor. No matter if you've already heard of them or not, contact the vendor. Ask them some questions. See how fast they respond and how well they respond. So it's one thing to say, hey, yeah, thank you for your question. It's a whole other thing to actually solve the problem. And then above all, make sure you crowdsource your research. So basically, pay attention to popularity and reviews for the module, and don't be afraid to ask others for their advice. And especially in our ecosystem, one of the things I tell people is go to the community forums, ask questions, go to the Q&A, ask other people on Twitter, and find out other people's experiences, or the experiences that they know of the people that they know. There's no better recommendation than that you can get than that. But when we talk about e-commerce specifically, we realize that basically software requires feedback and evaluation. So, make sure you can install it okay. How fast, again, can you simply get started with it, and figure out how much time it takes for you to add products, categories, promotions, and process orders. Because at the end of the day, that's a real cost. So licensing is one thing, but how much time are you paying people to just manage the store? That's very, very important. And because at the end of the day, the price of your e-commerce solution doesn't matter as much as the amount of time that you're paying for people to manage it every day. That cost is going to be way above than what you pay for your software.
Okay, makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about the future then, and we are coming to a conclusion here. Which trends, and again, we know that mobile is no longer a trend, mobile is here, so forget about that. So what trends do you see on the e-commerce space? Because you mentioned about a conference that I'm assuming that you go to that conference, it's all about the future of e-commerce. So what trends on e-commerce do you see going around that people should be on the lookout for?
Yep, so that's one of the things we do to keep up with trends, but we also, we stay in touch, and we have relationships with people like Internet Retailer, Practical E-commerce, and things like that. And so we stay up to date as much as we can in all the information e-commerce, because again, the more of an expert we are there, the better the more value we can provide to our customers, and that's really our goal every single day. But as you mentioned, mobile's come and gone, so hopefully everybody's catching up with that. But what we see as a future of e-commerce is store owners are becoming a lot more, or they're not becoming, they're already a lot more experienced than they ever have been. And so we've noticed a huge trend in people having difficulties not having their store necessarily, but making it more successful than it already is. And so people do a lot of really hard work of that's very manual, of downloading data and things. And so what we believe is that the future of e-commerce is in helping store owners and their staff make intelligent decisions and doing it automatically whenever we can. And so this will be done through things like actionable dashboards again, insightful analytics, predictive analytics, and basically if anybody was to try to do any of that today, what they're facing is several downloads of data from their store. So they're downloading all the reports. They might even be running some SQL reports, and so that's painful for people. And then getting their resident super genius data scientists to help them figure out what that data means. And so they're basically doing all these crazy pivots and things in Excel to try to come up with graphs to identify trends. And so those are the types of things that we are dedicated to helping our customers with moving forward. We've identified that trend, and there's really nothing else on the market in the e-commerce industry in general that does any of those things.
Okay, and the future, and specifically about Hotcakes Commerce, what do you guys are coming up next? What is the next feature set? What people should be on the lookout for in terms of future releases? Tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the first thing is we just released version 1.8.7 yesterday, and so that was just a maintenance release, and we have maintenance releases as often as we need to push them out there. But we do have version 1.9.0 that's going to be coming out in the next month or so, and 1.9.0 is going to have some additional things for the folks that are part of like the marketing teams and things that manage the store. So you're going to see a large handful of new promotions added. And such as being able to buy one get one free and that kind of stuff, and you're going to also see some a new shipping, what do you call it, kind of a shipping rules engine. So making the shipping options that show up a little bit more dynamic based upon conditions. And so you're going to see that kind of stuff. So we're going to continue to add kind of the everyday type features, but really what's next are the things I've been talking about already. So I've already hit on like the insightful analytics, predictive analytics, the actionable dashboards, and the growth hacking features. And so you're going to be seeing more of that very soon. But because basically it's very hard to run a store and keep your eye on being able to grow the business because they're not necessarily the same thing. And so our next series releases are going to be focused on taking the guesswork out of things like that. So whether or not you want to bundle products, we're going to automatically suggest those things to help you determine like, wait a minute, customers are buying these things together. Maybe you want to create like a special for this or a bundled kit to put these together and then increase your average deal size and increase your sales. So we're going to put that in front of them. We're going to show them how doing things like changing images or changing text or price, how they affect the sales. So you're going to be able to say, see, okay, I changed the price here, and I can see that the trend's going up, so that's good. Or I changed text here, and I see the trend going down, and so maybe I need to go and update it again. And so we're going to make those types of, we're going to identify those types of problems, and we're going to also give you suggestions on how to fix that.
Good. So a lot to look out for. So again, that really comes to an end here, our talk. Anything that we haven't covered that you still want to talk about? I mean, anything that specifically to Hotcakes that you would like to finish up with?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to, so if you're excited about anything I spoke about today, or if we're resonating with you at all, make sure you sign up for our newsletter. You can do that right on our homepage, so at hotcakescommerce.com. And you're going to continue to see some of this information that I just talked about, and we're going to show you some of these things that we are very close to releasing. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We got some other stuff that I can't really talk about right now that's coming as well. But make sure you sign up for a newsletter. We'll keep you updated on the newest things that are coming, and including some of the articles that we put out there about the next thing and things you need to think about, and just e-commerce best practices in general. The other thing too is in celebration, because I think Aderson, this is a special interview, right? It's not just because I'm on here. It's like there's something special about this interview, right?
Very true. Actually, I missed that one. Good point. That's I think that's our 12th interview, which means that we are 1 year old now. So that's true.
Yep. So for the rest of the month, as a celebration of the great job you're doing, informing the general, DNN community, Aderson, we're going to give out a 25% discount for the rest of the month. And so, before August 1st, make sure you take advantage of this. When you go to purchase, just make sure you use the code INTERVIEW 2015, all uppercase letters, and you'll enjoy a 25% discount.
Perfect. I'm just typing that one. In any case, Will, thanks very much for your time here. I just want to say that I'm really appreciative of your role in the DNN community in general. I'm sure that I'm not alone there. So again, guys, whoever watched this, and if you only know Will by this interview, this is too short for him to talk about all his life on the DNN space. But again, I hope that with the beginning of this interview, we had a sneak peek of that. And maybe in another opportunity, we can talk a little bit deeper into his other, facets of his participation on the DNN community. Again, thank you very much, Will. I really appreciate it. Bye.
Oh, I appreciate it too. Thank you so much for having me.